happy birthday. I wish I could be there, but I figured getting a new heart was a pretty good present. I do have a few quick comments, but I'd first like to thank Dad, Mom, and Jen for their amazing support over the past five weeks. They were there when I needed them, and I know that without them and the support of many of your well wishes, I would not be as healthy as I am today. So thank you all. I'm sure everyone in the room can attest to Dad's passion and zest for life at some point. And most likely, when he went overboard to follow it. Nothing's ever a half measure. If a 5-foot bonfire will do, then a 10-footer with gasoline to get started is better. And hey, come on, anyone can have one or two kayaks. But only Dad needs somewhere around 12 and counting. as well as it's a 25-foot canoe. So whether it's getting airplane kayaking with your family or friends, or just visiting, enjoying wine, traveling all over the world, or just enjoying family and friends, that passion and zest shows in everything he does. I remember so many great times, from fighting on the couch, sailing at Grampian, canoeing the Zambezi zip lines, or just kayaking in alligator-infested waters. I'm sure you'll hear many great stories over the evening. In fact, I'm not sure you're going to be able to cover your downside on this one. I do hope you have a great time trying. Dad, you've always been a great mentor and sounding board for me, and I love you for it. Happy 70th, Dad. A fantastic party, everyone. Now, my great honor to welcome our award-winning author, adventurer, and father of three, Mike.
Can I turn you off now?
Hey, Mark, introduce Jen.
Who's beside you?
Introduce Jen.
Introduce Jen.
Oh, okay, sorry. This is Jen.
One of your 3 kids. Thanks a lot, Mark. I'm going to sign you off now. You good?
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Bill. We'll see you later.
It is my great honor to be tonight's celebration of the Sages. More like a preview or an advanced screening of the eulogy. It is a roast, I'm sorry. Now, the format of the evening is very simple. This is an open mic, so if you would like to come up and say something, please do at any time. You can take it back to the table, or you can introduce yourself, how you know my father, and roast or toast, however you please. Now, as part of the honor of being first, is I get to tell the first story. And I have a great advantage of having a geriatric psychiatrist as a wife, because she knows a lot about people like you. I am sorry, but my wife did warn me about all the jokes and the laughing and the incontinence it can cause. So I'll just let you in on a bit of a family secret. This is more serious. In our family, if you ever needed to talk about something serious, you did it in the hot tub. Standing before me, always naked, my father would listen. That hot tub on Crozier Court saw more and heard more probably than any other hot tub ever did. Of me, probably more than anyone. It was a little burgundy tub that often leaked. And in every home of my father's since, you will find a hot tub, much like you might imagine a family hearth. My father taught me about finance in that tub. He'd stand there, or sit on the side, naked, and explain to me the issues of the company he needed to turn around. And then he'd let me tell him what I thought. And he'd tell me where I went right, or where I went wrong. I was all of 11 or 12 the first time. But it wasn't all about turnarounds. He taught me about a lot of other things, like sex. Like where the clitoris was. Where I'd gone right or wrong. I was probably 13 by then. Maybe 12. The hot tub was a confessional, a classroom, a place to party and relax. And we were naked there, but I don't just mean without clothes. We were open and frank and safe. I loved that hot tub. I had a great relationship with it. In my house, we don't have a hot tub. And yet, I still have an amazing relationship with my kids. We're open and frank. I love them. And it's taken me a long time to come to the realization that maybe it has very little to do with the hot tub and much more to do with my father. If we become our fathers, then I'm a lucky man. Cheers, Dad, I love you, and here's to many more hot tubs together.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bob Luba. I'm an old friend of Jim's, and I've written a few cheesy limericks. So hopefully we'll work this out. We're here to party with old Jim, along with many of his near kin. He's 70 years old, but still very bold, and thinks sitting still is a sin. They get worse. Jim, my friend of 35 years, together we drank many beers. The trips were a blast, but they went too fast, and all.
We're working on it.
I'm standing in the wrong place.
It might work.
How's this? Okay. Anyhow, we had many beers, and what else? I can't see.
One or the other.
The trips were a blast, but they went too fast, and the laughs brought us all to tears. Happiness is a kayak and a paddle. He glides through fields with many cattle. He gets to see many manatee, but the alligators make his teeth rattle. Jim is trying to stay trim. He really wants to be slim, but he likes to dine, and he loves his wine. His chances of slim are grim. Canoe museums, this is not very rhyming, but canoe museums preserve the lore, and the fundraisers are at the door. They want a lead gift, and Jim abandons his thrift. His huge gift caused spirits to soar. I'm sure others will have a word to say about the Community Museum tonight. There once was a girl named Kate who married Jim after one date. They make a great pair. For each other they care. Jim is blessed with wonderful Kate. With a wonderful mate. I missed one here. I'll hear this one.
Seriously.
North, south, east, west. Directions that Jim guessed. He always got lost, sometimes at great cost. But thank God his buddies knew best.
It gets worse. Oh, I know.
Just about finished. Others here. Others here may have much to say. Some have come from a long way. There will be lots of laughs and maybe the odd gaffe, but I hope they don't talk all day.
But I'm going to say to you will rhyme, but hopefully it'll make some sense. Brief with a subject like Jim, there's so much material, and but Katie, I wouldn't worry if it goes a little long tonight, because the next time you get a crowd this size together to honor Jim, the speeches are going to be a lot shorter. But especially the minister's eulogy. As I said, Jim and I met when we were in our 40s, about 30 years ago. Jim is the best living example I know that over time your youth passes, but immaturity can last a lifetime. Frankly, over the years, nothing much changed with Jim. When I first met him, he was sort of employed, and now he's kind of sort of retired. But other than that, everything's pretty much the same. I mean, here's a guy that in all the time I've known him has never had an office. You can phone him midday, and if he isn't out kayaking or biking, he's there to take the call. So he's kind of like that, mafia don you see in the TV or in the movies. Nobody can quite figure out what he does for a living. But he seems to be pretty successful at it financially. So, say Jim, I have a question for you. Here at Bonita Bay, why is it all the really old guys wear the black socks with their shorts and their sandals?
To fit in.
Well, you're a year closer to fitting in, so you're all set. Now that you're 70, you need to remember that valet parking is vital to you. Because the valet won't lose the car. You won't forget what you did with the keys. And he probably will at least know whether you came in the car when you got to it.
It cost me $5 in a tip. I can't afford it.
Now, Jim, once you turn 70, a lot of people think that your life's accomplishments and achievements are all behind you. But that's not true. Many of the achievements you attain in early life return and you repeat them again. For example, remember back when you were a teenager in the Ottawa Valley? You used to lie and brag to all your friends about how much sex you were getting? You remember that? That's going to happen again now that you're 70. Remember the excitement when you turned 16 and you got your driver's license? You're going to have that excitement every year pretty soon. Now, when you were a very young boy, you used to make, naughty and inappropriate comments to women, and they used to think you were funny and cute. You lost that opportunity once you got to be an adult, but it's coming back. They're going to once again think you're funny and cute. Little senile, perhaps. And then if you go way back, one of your first accomplishments, probably when you were about 3 years old. Do you remember that when you finally learned to quit wetting your pants and wearing diapers? Get out of diapers? Well, you get the picture, you know. Now, frankly, when many people reach your age, they begin to worry and wonder about where they're going and whether they're going to have a life that leads them to a senior's home and what life like that is going to be like. You shouldn't worry. Katie's got plans for you. She's been studying Viking culture. And with your interest in paddling, you know what they did with their old people when they were no longer abused. So you might want to keep an eye on the paddles in the backyard. Have a good birthday, Jim, and many happy returns.
I'm Mark Sewin, and I've known Jim for several years once he came down here to Bonita Bay. It was his fault that I got into kayaking. We were having some pleasant bike rides, and he said, "You ought to try kayaking." Now I have 4 in my garage and a 5th one on the way. So it is a disease. You know, thinking about Jim and this 70th birthday, one of the first things, in talking to some of the folks that I run with, the first thing that comes to their mind with Jim is first class. You know, he sponsored a trip down to the San Blas Islands near Panama. And he thought, this is going to be fantastic. He sold them on the basis that it was going to be comfortable campsites. It ended up being sand-only islands. Your tent is on sand. The sand is in your tent. The sand is in your sleeping bag. That was first class. Secondly, he said, hey, the paddling is just the same as up here in Florida. Flat water, you just zip along. First day out, 4 to 6 foot waves. We're in there struggling to stay alive. He says, no, this is almost the same as Florida. He said, well-prepared guides. You know, on the first thing we landed, we got in this boat, we started heading off to our first camp, and the boat ran out of gas. So we had to paddle this stupid boat over to the island to be able to get where we were going. Finally, he said, comfortable, safe air travel. We got on these stupid little tiny aircraft things and landed on a grass runway on a little island where if it didn't stop in time, you were going right into the drink. But we all adjusted. We were able to handle that. Now, the other part of being first class, though, is Jim would not travel in a rudimentary area like that without his wine. He's a connoisseur of wine, so he flew down to Panama a month early to set up the wine for the trip. And so we had this, there were 8 of us, we had 4 bottles of decent wine, and then for every night, and then when that would run out, he had these boxes of wine. And so we'd sit there and drink these boxes of wine. Of course, there was nothing else to do because there were no lights or anything, and so at 6:30 the lights went out and that was it. So we're sitting there drinking this wine. But it didn't, we understood that this was going to be a first class tour. We just didn't realize what first class meant. Now you know that Jim is a fanatic on kayaks. And that's probably what he's known for best down here. I've lost count as to how many he has. Someone here probably knows. I know it's got a 2 in front of it. If you put the ones between here and up north. So the question we wrestled with down here was, so what do we get Jim for his 70th birthday? You know, the problem with a guy like Jim is he's a early adopter. So somebody comes out with a V8, bam, he grabs a V8. This is a surf ski. They come up with a V10, boom, he's got a V10. I'm sure he's got a V12 on order. So the problem we have is, how do we buy something for his birthday that's new and different? So we went to work on that. And I have to refer to some information here. So we went to a company called Epic.
I'll be Vanna.
Vanna White will help me here. So we went to Epic, and we said we need a breakthrough kayak for Jim. So I had to put down, I knew this was a mixed crowd, Canadians and US. So I've tried to put metric and US metric. So if you look closely, you can see we have length in feet and in meters, width in inches and centimeters, weight in pounds and kilograms, hull speed in miles per hour and kilometers per mile, and then cost in US dollars and Canadian dollars. Of course, the biggest gap is between US dollars and Canadian dollars. Now you can see that we started off here, Jim was looking at a V6. And he was really engaged with it because not only was it a V6, but it had this little indentation that allowed you to get your paddle into the water easier. And of course, if you're competing, you have to have that extra edge of being able to get that paddle in the right way. They continued that with the V8, which is longer, 18 versus 16 feet, $2,500 to $3,500. But here's the key for Jim. The speed goes from 6 to about 8 miles an hour, or from 10 to 13 kilometers per hour. And then, of course, Jim couldn't stand it. He had to get a V10. So he gets a V10. That costs him another $5,972 Canadian dollars. And he gets to go all the way from 18 to 20 feet. And that gives him a speed from 8 to 10 miles an hour, or 13 to, it looks better in kilometers, I have to say, 17 kilometers per mile. So now the problem we have is, there's a V12. There will be a V14. But by the time we get that, he'll have already ordered it. So we went to him and we said we need to design a new kayak that is leading edge, that we can order and get for the future. And that's what we have here. Here you see the unveiling of the Jimmy Stewart V20. Now I hope you recognize the marketing coup that we've taken here. Now just calling it a V20 doesn't do much, but calling it a Jimmy Stewart is worldwide name recognition, along with the name of the guy who's going to pay for the development. So this is fantastic. Now you can see that it's very narrow. It's a V20, which is 40 feet long and 15 inches wide. Or, I didn't put the centimeters down, I'm in trouble. So, recognize that while this V10 he now has can go 10 or 17 kilometers, this is 20 miles an hour, 33 kilometers per hour is what the estimated speed of this is. And we expect that Jim will be able to power it at least that fast or faster. Now, the reason we did that is if you've ever been out kayaking with him, he loves to try to pass power boats. And with this book, he'll be able to do that. Now recognize, Jim, we did put in the things here to allow now here's the challenge. In US dollars, this is going to be $6,400. But it's not going to be delivered until 2021. And at that point, it's estimated the Canadian dollar equivalent will be $20,405 Canadian dollars. Now, we wrote that to understand why would you project that? That's a 0.31 exchange rate. Well, the reason is they project that Hillary Clinton will win the election. She will ban all exports of oil from Canada. And she'll put all of her money into renewable resources, and as a result, the exchange rate will move down to 0.31. So, Jim, you might want to pay early in US dollars, and that will save you a tremendous amount.
Thank you, Mark.
Jim, we enjoy kayaking, enjoy life. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
We've heard about this being a mixture of you are Canadians. Those of us that are U.S. citizens are really restrained from being as frank in our comments about Jim. I've known Jim for a very, very long time.
Don't hold back.
And my only regret is that we're going to have our good friend, mutual friend, Peter Wigrington, a number of you may know him, along with us to comment on our current political situation in the United States. And we are presently facing a choice between an aging socialist and an egotistical bigot. And if that were to be the final choice for the American people, I think there's going to be a tremendous demand for citizenship in Canada. And I'm hopeful that Jim was going to appear as a character reference, so I'm on my absolutely best. Because I really do aspire to some alternative to that very, very undesirable set of circumstances. We've known Jim for quite a while. We had this couples forum, and we went her up on some very long walks, and we tend to solve most of the problems in the world. And there are very few problems that Jim does not have an answer for. Macroeconomics, microeconomics, central bank policy, North Korea, Iran, you name it, Jim has a solution for it. And as you walk through these long walks, you know, our good friend Walter Forbes and I would sort of listen and really come away tremendously edified. And it was just one of the spiritual moments of my life. And that's why this is such a sad occasion, because Jim used to be a pretty sharp knife in the drawer, used to really be with the program, used to really have a certain presence. You know, I don't know if Katie's put up with him all these years, but he really was really something. And now we've all seen the absolute decline that's occurring. And it's very sad, because if you know, what is Jim's greatest pejorative? What's the worst thing he can say about somebody? He's a whiner. Do you ever hear that? He's a whiner. I mean, God, I was trying to be medevac out of Alaska. And I said, how are they doing? I said, it was not the best day I've had. He said, don't whine. And I finally came up with Jim's big whine. So that's the only thing I'm going to share with you, is Jim's final whine. And I did choose to put this inspired by Bob Lula, into a verse format. It's supposed to rhyme. If it does, you can judge yourself. So this is Jim's big whine. James F. Stewart was a finance man. Doubled up his money every chance he can. Started out low, member of the ranks. Bought some stock in investment banks. James P. Rich, James P. Poor. James F. Stewart was rising short. He acquired some companies, turned them around. Made a track record that his peers astound. Loonies piled up. He's offered me an even exchange rate if I ever go to Canada. Let me a friend like that. Loonies piled up and life was good. Jim became the neighbor of the envy of the neighborhood. James F. Forceful, James F. Bright, James F. Stewart had his life just right. He bought some kayaks and then a farm. Canada's Canoe Museum fell to his charm. And he's also found the perfect mate. To put up with him, she's now sidekick. That's from the heart, Katie. I mean, John F. Crawford on that stage, John F. Stewart, James F. Stewart just had like me. But then came age with its awful toll, and stopped our Jim while he's on his roll. His mind was dull, his body strained. Even his paddle stroke was overtrained. James F. Fragile, James F. Ill. James F. Stewart was going downhill. So Jim fell down on his knees to pray, "Oh Lord, give strength back to Jim today." But the Lord said, "Success exacts its price. The Lord can't stand you going around twice." James F. Timid, James F. Bold, James F. Stewart was turned down cold. So James crawled into his big warm bed, and they pulled the covers up over his head. And at the end, he was heard to whine, tell the Wall Street Journal, I was 69.
So this is a bit of a sing-along, and what you guys have got to do is come along with the support pass.
That's a chorus.
And do the chorus. And the chorus goes like this, like page 1. Okay, the chorus goes like this. To know him is to love him. And we do, yes we do, yes we do, yes we do, yes we do. Okay, well you guys,
That's the chorus.
okay, got it?
So we'd like to start with the chorus first, and then we'll get into the real meat and potatoes here.
Okay.
So ready? Here we go. Singers.
No, is to love him. And yes we do, yes we do, yes we do, yes we do, yes we do. Carpe diem has been a way of life for Jim, but carpe diem turns to crafty diem. Yes it does, yes it does, yes it does, yes it does, yes it does. Jim went camping and the elephants they came tramping up through the sugar cane. Into the campsite they came, smashing and trashing. This whole camp like a trashing, and carpe diem turns to crappy diem. Yes it does, yes it does, yes it does, yes it does. And to know is to love him. Yes we do, Jim thought that he slow it down. Jim thought he'd buy a boat. It would be the best one afloat. He'd get it for merely a song. What could possibly be wrong? But then the mafia said, the boat is ours till the ransom is paid. Cost Jim about 65 paid. And carpe diem turns to crappy diem. Yes it does, yes it does, yes it does. No, it's to love him. And we do, yes we do, yes we do. Jim thought a wonderful fun to play a prank on #1 son. So his brothers he'd asked for help in this devious task. The brothers thought that this was unfair, so Jim ended up in Lennoxville Square, saying, I don't think I can go to the dance. Katie, they stole my pants. Carpe diem. Yes it does, yes it does, yes it does. But to know is to love, yes we do, yes we do. Our advice to you on your wonderful days to live your life is to live your life in your own special way. And carpe diem, just the way you see it. And to know, yes, we love, yes we do, yes we do, yes we do.
Fortunate with the friends that you've accumulated over the years, and as a result of that good fortune, I think that you should count your blessings. And amongst your good friends are Lynn and I, and we very much appreciate being here on this occasion. Thank you.
Robert.
Crap on you or anything like that. I'm actually here to honor you. Yeah, I am, unfortunately, but I'm going to do that simply because it's not often that one gets the opportunity to celebrate the 70th birthday of somebody as unique as Jim. I've known him as well for many, many years. There are very few people that have got the diversity of skills and capabilities that he has, and some are pretty special. I mean, as most of you know, he probably is one of the strongest leftist-leaning people. And that makes him a lot of fun to talk to. Right? There's no question. And I know he's particularly welcome here in the state of Florida, the Republican state. And I know he's been in touch with Donald Trump. And I'm sure he's probably one of Donald's financial backers. But having said that, I just want to comment on a couple of things that I've always found unique about Jim. One was confirmed tonight, and that is that he is a tremendous communicator, not only with his peers, people in his forum group, people who are his friends, but also having talked to a number of your grandkids tonight, it's amazing how you've been able to get to them and the love and respect that they have for you. That's very special to have that kind of diversity and capability to be able to communicate like that. So I thought that very unique, very special. And the other thing, and the last thing I'm going to mention is there are very few people that I have met over the years like Jim that have the unique quality of work, whatever it is, whether it's a business discussion, whether it's having fun, whether it's a social event, whether just talking to him, he has that capability of making you feel good, making you feel better. Like I've never been with Jim and not walked away and felt better and more positive than when I got there. And that's really unique. Not many people have the capability to do that. And I think there you're blessed too. So Dan and I are wonderfully happy to be here. Wish you the very happiest of birthdays and many, many more to come.
These are far too kind, guys. Yep.
We know that.
It's a wine club. Thank you, mate.
And an element, and I could take the jacket off of this.
Just try to keep the rest of your order in the hot tub.
So just to lighten it up, I'll give a demonstration of Jim. When I first realized how competitive he was, and for years a group of us venture capitalists, excluding Jim, would go skiing to the Canadian U.S. Rockies. And one year Jim thought he'd join us, and so we flew to Denver, went over to Aspen, pardon me, and I had the pleasure of riding up the chair with Jim. And you know, Jim, right? We were riding up the chair, and the first like 500, maybe 1,000 feet, it's quite gentle, and there's trees, and Jim says, "Yeah, this is just like Beaver Valley, holy, that's nothing." Then you go over to the bench, I don't know if you've been to Vail. You hit the bench and there's 3,000 feet, like, wow, straight up. He said, "Holy cow, wow." Anyway, so this is Jim's first introduction to skiing in the Rockies. So we head down, there's Archie McKenna and Brian Marshall. We've been skiing all our lives, virtually. So we head down, boom, 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 down some locals, and Jim goes boom, boom, like I'm going to put the somersault onto his head. So we head back down, and he goes, "Ooh, that hurt." I think I broke my neck and massaged it. It was okay. So we then took a gentle runs for the next hour or so. Then he got quite confident. Well, let's go up there, like absolutely to the top. And away we go. So we're up there, and Brian and Archie and myself, we head down, and we're in power. So we're boom, boom. Halfway down, we went to the side. There's Jim standing up there. And don't think he ever skied in powder in his life, because he goes boom, boom, and then he does, I've never seen this ever before, cartwheel. Perfect cartwheel into the trees, and the garage, we go and take his stuff out, and we got Jim out, he was a snowman, and he was good. I'm fine. And so, but he stuck with it, and I think at the end of the 3 or 4 day trip, he was as good as we were. So there he is. A very competitive guy, and I'm glad to see he survived some of the ski trips. And I promised I wouldn't talk about anything when we were under 30 years of age in Montreal. But anyways, that's another story for another day. But
thank you, Rob.
Yeah, happy birthday, Jim, and all the best. Thanks.
Thanks, mate.
Hey folks, I just want to have a comment in your attention for a moment. This is the guy. This is the type of guy that Jim is. He comes over and he says, "Hey, let me sit down in your seat and just get to know some of the folks at your table." We're just the overflow table because they didn't have reservations in the dining room. We don't know him at all. Inviting us and picking up the tab. So it's great, you know. I'd love another glass of wine. Wonderful choice. But I will say this. My name is Hy Ackerman. I'm from Toronto and now Naples, and my wife Phyllis have known Jim and Katie and their family a long time. The important thing when you deal and interact in such a way with Jim and Katie, and I include Katie, is that you learn things, and you learn about the concept of gratitude, and gratitude is what they're about. But you learn another thing, and you learn about the concept of how you grow and develop, such as the concept of attention. They give you their attention. You also learn about the concept of appreciation. And certainly, Jim is full of appreciation when he meets you, taking you out kayaking and canoeing and all other sports. And the next A in the lesson, 3 A's, attention, appreciation, is basically affection and passion. I toast you, I toast your passion, and all the 3 A's in terms of attention, affection, and appreciation, because you're full of all of those attributes. We all thank you. And happy birthday.
Here. I really like being called St. Katie, actually. Jim's never going to hear the end of that one, I'll tell you. Life with Jim has been pretty exciting, actually, over the years. I can't say that it's not. A couple of things that I think you don't know about Jim, I thought I'd just mention, and these are serious things, not so much funny things, but he's an incredible handyman. I mean, I don't know if you know that, but he can do a little plumbing, he can do a little electricals, he can do a lot of repair work on our farm in Peterborough. He maintains the barns, he maintains all the equipment. We couldn't be there if it wasn't for Jim. So he's really in tune with nature there, and well, he also loves to cut trees down. This is one of his very favorite pastimes. He's cutting trees down, and then he likes to burn them in these nature bonfires, and he uses gasoline to fire them up, and we have balloons of smoke and all this kind of stuff. And if he's ever called on them, his favorite line is something along the lines of, ask for forgiveness, not for permission. I think that's probably one of his favorite rules of life. But on a more serious note, most of you probably don't know that Jim's actually helped an awful lot of women over the years. We have many widowed friends, divorced friends, women friends, that is, and Jim has helped them with their financial affairs and with their moral support, and been just a super friend to these women. I don't think most of you appreciate that that's one of Jim's sort of sidelines that he does, and it's very special to them, and I know it's very special to me that he does that for them. As a husband, well, we've been together for 47 years, or 48 years, plus a year of dating, so I mean, that's one hell of a long time. So I think, I can say that we've had our ups and our downs, but it's been a pretty exciting time with great travel. You met some of my brothers and my family, and my boys are here too. My boys, you saw Mark's up on Skype. Yeah, I know, I always call them by the wrong names. It drove them crazy as a kid. Mark up on Skype, and we're truly blessed with our family, and our grandchildren here tonight as well. Andrew over there, who really has been kind of quiet, and Alyssa, his lovely fiance, and Tegan, whom you heard from, Natasha over there in the corner too. And so it's just really lovely to have everybody here and to have the family around us. And I think for me that's the most important part of life, is family. I don't have a lot more to say except that James is going to do a little something here.
All right. I'm not sure how I got the finale. My mom was supposed to finale, but I was told to the mic. Oh, yeah, semi-finale, half finale. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the Odyssey program. If you're familiar with it, it's a program in Harvard where people who have very high, intense jobs, A+ personalities, sort of convert to the I guess it's the later years in life. How do you convert the energy that went into your business into a family of like a family and enjoying your future? And it's funny as everybody talks about here how intense my dad is. He actually goes through these processes in advance to try and figure out how I should be in the future. In fact, actually, a little sidebar, that's one of the strengths between the two of you, is how you guys plan for the future. I think you really do relate to each other and say, okay, what do you want in the future, and what do you want in the future, and you guys plan. And as someone who's your son, and with Katie, my girlfriend, we discuss it all the time. We look upon even the next couple months, or weeks, in this case. Let's keep it along. It's bigger than that, anyway. But the Odyssey program has certain themes behind this. And one of the themes that I came up with, and themes, by the way, are things that happened in your life in the past that you want to then extend to your future. So a theme, for example, is probably water-related, not necessarily whirlpool related, but water-related, meaning the idea of kayaking. And so my dad made up a plan, for example, of kayaking major rivers. So we've done the Po River as a family, and a bunch of other very strange characters. If you want to ask some really cool stories, I could go to a whole speech for hours about that trip. We had gay guys, and it was hilarious. You would love it. So ask about that if you want. We did the Nile. Mike and my dad helped on the Nile. We did the Zambezi River. One trip, for example, my dad and I did together was kayaking. And this is one of the themes that my dad came up with, is the idea of sharing kayaking, how it's a lifetime in rivers of experiences that he wants to recreate for the future. So my dad and I went a trip through the Gulf Islands where we actually paddled from Victoria to Nanaimo. Victoria to Nanaimo, by the way, is about 80 kilometers. And our first stop was about 20 kilometers in, and it's a really cool little spot. If you want the spot, I'll tell you. But anyway, it was 20 kilometers in, which meant that if we wanted to paddle the rest of the way to Nanaimo, it would be 60 kilometers. Well, 60 kilometers in a kayak is a bit of a haul. And so Dad and I, without too much training, ended up doing the whole thing in a two-person kayak. In fact, the pictures that you saw beforehand was with him and I in my slightly bald state with long hair. That was me. And that trip, kayaking the whole way. We did 60 kilometers in one day. And that was a hell of a trip. And Nanaimo was not actually a destination, which sort of, I guess, goes to the point where it's not necessarily the destination, it's the journey that counts. Right? So every single time you're asked to go for a workout with my dad in a kayak, you're not actually asking for a workout, you're actually bonding with my father. It's a very important time. And so I present to Dad, paid by my mom, by the way, a token of this. And part of this, by the way, is independent, but it's a, oh my God, it's a little sculpture.
His arm is supposed to be straight.
I agree. He's getting older.
That's spectacular.
It's all yours.
That is spectacular.
It's you-ish. Yeah, it's good. It's
Who, you arm wrestle later?
Oh, a little bit.
Well, I gotta get my. I have 4 or 5 hours of speeches here. Take your fingers in that movie.
It's 3 pounds.
That's
I can do 3 pounds 10 times and I'm done.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
James, I'll treasure this. This is absolutely spectacular.
This is my K1 too. This is a race K1.
The problem with sculpting this is that how do you get movement in something that otherwise... Anyway, it's a pain in the ass to sculpt.
How do you follow that?
James, someone.
That's amazing.
Take orders.
Yeah. Hey, James, that's just spectacular. I can't believe it. It's a bit very long. That's great. You know, Harrison was kind enough to mention Walter Forbes, and a very good friend of mine, and I meant to have his songs played as we were walking in the room, because he just did an album and sent it to me for my birthday gift. But he sent me a birthday poem. Are you ready for this? This is Walter Forbes' birthday poem. May the beer be cold, and also you are old. Thank you, Walter. That was the other little thing that really comes to mind is that inside every older man is a young man wondering what the hell happened. And the final quote is probably one that Jim Bullock will remember well. This is from Jack Benny. Now, my granddaughters probably have never heard of Jack Benny, which is probably, and some of you probably have heard of that. But Jack Benny said, age is strictly a case of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. I guess that's where I differ a little bit, because I'm starting to matter a little bit, you know. But I can't believe how lucky I've been. Firstly, the operation that Mark just had, and you've had it on the screen. I can't imagine a greater birthday gift. The weight off Katie and my shoulders has been incredible. And the unbelievable support we've had from all of you and others in Bonita Bay and Peterborough and Toronto and so on has sent positive vibes that Mark even mentioned how positive that was for him and his ability to repair himself. So that to me is just a great birthday gift, and everything else pales in comparison. The second reason I'm a very lucky guy is is I've had the same woman at my side for at least 48 years and probably 50 years. When we were dating, Katie said 49, but I'm not so sure. It really wasn't 50. And she still wants to be around me, except maybe when we go to Total Wine and maybe Costco is a bit of a problem these days. And lunch is definitely a challenge. But other than that, we seem to get along pretty well. And although she is considered St. Katie, but I still look upon her as my bride. So that's terrific. Obviously, you've seen evidence tonight of the joys of my life. My three sons and their wonderful wives and my granddaughters and grandson and their respective mates. I'm a very lucky guy, and they're the joys of my life. And now as I get older, I realize that that's the next generation, and how fortunate I am to have them as the next stage in our life, in our evolution of my family. And so that brings us to this particular crowd and how fortunate I am. I was going to say that I invited 200 interesting people to come tonight, and they all declined, and we had a secondary list. And well, thanks for coming, but the other guys were important. But that wouldn't be true. All of you are very important to me in my life. I only asked for 40 people, and you came, and I'm very grateful that you did. Every one of you have in your own way know that you've had an important role in my life, and I'm just so pleased that you were able to come tonight. So thank you all for making the effort, and it's just been a wonderful evening. You've been far too kind to me. I can't believe I got away with what I did. All of you got a lot more ammunition. And some of you at the table said, Stewart, we could have done this. I know you could have. Even the ski story from Story was kind.
It was censored.
It sure was. What really happened is they took me to the top of Whistler by helicopter. I'd never skied a glacier before. They threw me on top of the glacier, never having done powder skiing, let alone a glacier skiing. They dropped me off, and these buggers took off. And what happened is there a crust on top of the snow. So I got on this thing, and I was going 100 miles an hour. I mean, I had no idea how to stop. So I turned to the right, and I went, and I went, and I went, and I went, and all of a sudden I went up to the right, and I stopped, and I looked through my skis, and there's a 1,000-foot drop. One more foot, and I was goners. Scared the living daylights out of me.
We did that on purpose. It was on purpose.
Thank you. That's the real story. He was kind enough to say the trees and getting out of it, but this was really interesting. Anyways, I didn't do a lot more of that kind of skiing. Anyways, thanks very much, guys. If anybody else wants to come up, please continue enjoying your drinks and the rest of the evening, but what a wonderful evening it's been for me. Thank you for all your comments. You've been so great.